Evening. So it's been a while since I've been since I've done a video. I think it's been about a week. Anyway, there has been a lot of stuff going on. Some things that are moving kind of quickly. It seems that there are rates of speed that I can't really keep up with. I mean, there's the speed of sound, the speed of light, and then there's the speed of Clubhouse drama, which takes a toll. I can't really calculate it. So this video is going to be commenting on Darth Dawkins blocking JRobin, which Tom Rabbit was nice enough to record and edit a little synopsis of the whole thing, kind of encapsulates that aspect of the drama. So for those of you who probably aren't aware, well, you might be because you're probably getting notifications in a couple of different directions. Tom is going live at the exact same time. He's covering a discussion he had with Praise about how Praise is, I guess, kissed and made up with Darth Dawkins. That's going on right now. I'll probably be reviewing that one too. So it feels kind of weird that I'm kind of like directly opposite him in a live time when I'm going to end up covering that same material too. Oh well, I'll deal with it. So it is what it is. And then Raging Atheist is also covering, I think, the same conversation that Tom Rabbit's covering. So they're both going to be talking about this from Praise's perspective and how they've made up. But I'm a little bit behind the curve on this. I was aware of the Praise drama, and if any of you haven't been paying attention to this, Darth Dawkins, everyone's favorite, curmudgeon, cretin, Christian, haranguing everyone for, not understanding that they necessarily must believe in Christ or else, has been having a little bit of a tough time. So to set this up, I mean, he's had a hell of a year. I think he got into Clubhouse the end of last year, the beginning of this year, started shifting things over, started making getting a reputation pretty quick, making, elderly ladies cry and things like that. And then he went he was out of commission for a little while in late spring, early summer, had some family commitments, I guess. And then he came back, and now he's back with something of a vengeance because now he's he's had some drama kick up with some fellow Christians. I mean, he's had that since he's been on Clubhouse. But he had one with Praise recently, right? And Praise, in his feelings, got into a conversation with Tom Rabbit, which is famously captured on his channel. He's got a conversation where Tom Rabbit kind of leads him around by his very credulous fifis and, basically speculates on a lot of potentially horrific hypotheticals that Darth could be capable of committing. And Praise just kind of goes along with the whole thing. Now, at some point at this stage, now, Darth, it sounded like his reaction to that was that he was going to write him off, and he was going to write off guys like James is Tired and these other Clubhouse users for even being involved in this. And apparently they're starting to mend fences, I guess. I haven't heard the details. I knew it was coming. I knew that Praise would be willing to do it because Praise is not consistent. That's the one thing that is consistent about Praise, is that he's inconsistent. So it would just be up to Darth. And apparently maybe Darth is willing to take him back. But what Darth blocked JRobin, which is the subject of this one, because Darth has set down this he's drawn this line in the sand that he doesn't want to talk to people who are willing to do this. And it seems to me that this line in the sand, he kind of etched it out in reaction to the Praise thing, right? Like if you're not going to, like with James is Tired and some other people, like, hey, if you're not going to take a strong stance against these people that slander Darth and stalk him and all these other kinds of dramatic accusations, then you're not with Darth, and then Darth's just going to block you. Doesn't matter if you're a Christian or not. So that's kind of where we stand. So this eventually made it. Now Tom has been kind of following this along very closely with Clubhouse because he talks to a lot of these people, I think nearly daily. And the one that I think Tom has been most focused on is Veckel. He keeps wondering if Veckel is going to get caught in this cancel-thon that Darth's got going. So that's where we're at, I think. I think that kind of sums it up. I'm probably leaving out big sweeping chunks of it. But let's say hello to some people in the live chat. Michael Deaton, thank you for showing up. JC Nutt, thank you for being here. Spooky, always glad to see you. Daisy, you're Daisy if you do. Thank you for being here. Free account, hello. Clubhouse debate. JRobin is back. Yeah, yes, he is. He's back and he's changed. Yeah, I don't know. It seems like he has been kind of out of commission too for a while, and now he's it seems like he's been a little bit more regular. Regular on Clubhouse. I don't mean regular like a gastrointestinal way. God equals the square root of -1. Good to see you. Cascade. Good to see you too. I fucking called. Yeah, you probably did. 8:30 to Awesome. Good to see you. Hugh Mungus. Always good to see you. Errant Massa. Mighty Sarlacc. Red Fang, hello, hello. Some guy named Bob, hello. Nicole, Daniel Cooper, hello. Bob Rosenberg, good to see you. Master Lumpkin, Scott Duke, Mr. Scott, good to see you too. Fluffy Keith, Clive Gordon, DJ, good to see you. Repo Sandman, good to see you as well. And I think I've got just about everybody in here. Oh, and Michael, the Canadian Atheist. Good to see you, Michael. And I can't forget Hogtie Chan. Thank you for being here, Hogtie. And probably the best username, God Hates Us All. A little bit depressing, but if he's real, possibly accurate. Anyway, so, okay, we're going to get back into this. I don't think there's any more prelude necessary for this one. It's just going to be snippets of their conversation where these two have a little bit of a confrontation, and we're just going to play this and see what happens. I think I've got this set for normal speed. Darth gets a little worked up in this one, so I'm just going to leave it at normal speed. Here we go.
Hey, Tom Rabbit! I hope you got this for your recording. Hey, YouTube out there. Tom Rabbit likes to record these. Hey, Tom Rabbit!
In my opinion, I'll be truthful. No, like, honest person really takes Darth too seriously. Like, no, like, charitable, cordial person, and I think Christians included. Like, Darth is not a good representative of Christianity, and therefore, like, it's very easy for people to just kind of antagonize him. Like, I don't think anybody, like, to be flatly honest, I don't think anybody else on this platform or any others is, like, that bad. Like, I don't think JRobin is like that. I don't think Tom Locke is like that. I don't think Matt Yester is like that.
Yeah, Matt Yester can be like that, and so can I think the difference is that Matt Yester and JRobin will let it play out. They will let the dumpster burn once the fire has been sparked. Whereas Darth will lose his shit and then cast somebody out, and then after that, there's the 5 to 10 minute cooldown period of him justifying to himself and to anyone who was still listening why he had to do that. When really, I think he's basically on the verge of a panic attack, and shut him down because he can't, he just can't deal. There wouldn't necessarily be anything wrong with that if he wasn't stunting all the time about it, right? Like if you can't handle those kinds of conversations, maybe don't roll in as heavy as you do. Don't take that kind of tact. It doesn't have to be that combative. But Matt Yester, Ty, JRobin are every bit as combative and as obnoxious as Darth Dawkins, and have been more so in the past, and not too distant past either. The difference is their level of patience. They're younger men. They can last longer. They've got the stamina for it. Michael says, Jefferson, the first bit is all me. Yeah, it is kind of. And I'd heard about this too. I'd heard Michael talking about this in the aftermath later on in a Clubhouse room.
I think Matt Yester gets a little grumpy too quickly, but
yeah, here's the thing, GI, and I'm not. You're entitled to your opinion. Everyone is. I don't care who you like or you don't like, but I don't think it's fair that you talk behind someone's back about something. I think that if you have a problem with, the way that Darth delivers his apologetic, that you should bring that up with him.
I don't think that this is actually fair of Redefined Living, and I don't expect it to be, because if you're going to take social cues from somebody like Redefined Living, you're probably like even more clueless than he is, and you probably need to see a shrink or something, get a life coach. There's nothing wrong with talking about somebody necessarily, but the difference between talking about somebody behind their back, right? Like, is if you're spilling shit about them and then you're friendly to their face. From my understanding, G.I. Jew and Darth Dawkins have had confrontations. But I don't think that GI has been sharing opinions about Darth Dawkins to other people other than Darth Dawkins that are not the same as the things he said to Darth Dawkins face-to-face, one-on-one. Can't be really face-to-face because they're not really face-to-face, are they? So I think that this is a bit uncharitable of Redefined, because he's trying to say, like, well, you're running around and casting these aspersions and talking about him behind his back, and then instead of bringing, like, no, I think GI has brought these up to him, and GI, I think, from my understanding, if memory serves, back when GI and Darth were in shared Discord servers, I think GI had found himself on the end of a Darth ban more than once. So I don't think Redefined is tracking what's going on here.
He already has.
or at least
number
make
of
these
times.
complaints when
And that guy he just basically said the same thing, just with fewer words. He has brought this up to him many times, right? Like, this criticism has been low. And this is something that's common with guys like Redefine and people that are still going to like kind of chat with him. Like, well, I don't understand why you're not. McGruber does this too. Mac or Warren shows up here every once in a while. We'll do the same thing. Why are you talking? Why are you doing a video about him? Why not go talk to him? Well, for some of us, we can't. He won't talk to us. Like, I can dedicate entire videos to him, and I know he knows they exist. I know that people tell him when I'm live, or, you know, if the ones that might want to kick up a little bit of attention. Otangelo used to make a habit of it. I doubt he does anymore. If Darth wants to come talk to me, he knows where to find me. He knows I'm doing videos about him. He knows I'm talking about what he's saying. If he wanted to ask me questions or talk about himself with me, he could do that. He doesn't avail himself of that anymore. He hasn't in at least a year. So, or just about a year. So I think this is just bullshit. Like, oh, I just don't understand why you don't talk to Darth. I can't. I'm blocked. I'm muted. I'm a troll. He's labeled me a slanderer, even though I didn't slander him. So I'm not exactly sure what I'm supposed to do at that point to meet this threshold that you guys have for yourself. I have to meet this threshold. Darth doesn't. When I hear one of Darth's lick spittles go off, that's how you know the difference between somebody who's sort of a fair weather friend for Darth and the lick spittle. The lick spittle is actively engaging in exercising these double standards for people, for Darth.
when he's in the room. But, you know, here's the thing, and I'm not trying to defend him, okay? But he's been at this for a long time. And so he attracts these people that show up to troll. I mean, I've been in rooms with him, you know, for a while now, listening to his conversations, and he has a lot of very deep and good conversations with people that actually show up and want to engage. So he's had deeper conversations with people, and then turned around and in less than 24 hours turned around and then made fun of those people and then said they were wrong even after missing all of their points. Darth has squandered more opportunities with more people on here. And I'm not just talking about like atheists or secular philosophers, but I mean actual theologians and stuff. He's had the opportunity to talk with people that know more about theology, even Christianity or Christian theology, than he does, but he's not willing to really admit to that, right? I think the only person he would accept that from would be the ghost of Van Til himself. And even then, he'd probably mute him if Van Til agreed with JRobin over Darth Dawkins. So I don't think your assessment is accurate. I think that there's a lot of people, you know, like the Tom Rabbits and that whole group that specifically look for, you know, trolling opportunities where he loses his temper. And I'm not.
That would be almost any time he actively engages in a conversation. Like the reason that he's muting so many people now is to prevent, I think, these kinds of opportunities from happening. It's almost every conversation, and the common denominator in these quote unquote trolling opportunities is the shit that falls out of Darth's face. You do not have to actively seek it. If you happen to see or hear Darth having a conversation, all you have to do is wait. You don't have to catch him in different moments. Like, I love it when these guys start talking about this, because they almost start painting the picture like, well, somebody has to find Darth talking about this there, and then that there, and then they creatively edit these videos. That's what Tom does. He creatively edits these things and takes them out of context. Like, and even Darth has talked about it, using language like that as if that's what's necessary. Like, no, you don't have to. You just play a slice of 10 minutes of him talking to somebody and watch him just slowly, you know, well, actually pretty rapidly lose his mind. And then, you know, when you point this out, Darth's like, well, you're trolling me. You took that out of context. I took 10 minutes of a conversation you had with somebody out of context. His best defense, it was his interlocutor's fault. I don't like that person, or that person's a scumbag. That person's a troll. That person follows me around. That person refers to me by my name, which I accidentally leaked out years ago, and he shouldn't know that, and he shouldn't be talking to me. He shouldn't be referring to me like that. So he's a stalker, and he's a troll, and he's a slanderer. Cool. Okay, we're not going to deal with the fact that you lost your mind for 10 or 15 minutes again in a conversation today, and then you did that the day before, and then the day before that, and then the day before that, going back to the time that a kid said he didn't believe in Jesus 10 years ago on Xbox Live, and now here we are, right? So yeah, we all suffer. So to that kid on Xbox Live who really, really triggered Darth. You know, I don't know where you are now, but thank you, and I hate you.
You know, I'll say that I kind of cringe when that happens, if I'm going to be honest. But whatever, you know, his shortcomings are his shortcomings, and everyone has them. His are just more public than everyone else. But to suggest that he doesn't have good arguments, I mean, I just think that that's flat wrong.
He doesn't have good arguments. They're not his arguments. Redefine's really lost his mind. Man, I'm never going to make it through this if I keep having to correct Redefine Living is trying to talk about like, well, man, I mean, look at how, I mean, Darth's like an innovator. He just came in here and what? He memorized Bonson's script a few years ago and has basically been repeating it without missing a beat, even when weaknesses are pointed out. It doesn't matter if he talks to an analytical philosopher like Alex Malpass, or he talks to somebody familiar with different philosophical branches like Ozymandias or anybody. Like, I mean, if you really want an example of that, take a look at his views on young Earth creationism. Have they changed any? Hey, he's talked to people much better versed in science than I think other people have had an opportunity to speak with. He has not learned a damn thing. This idea that he's contributing to this, like you can get more out of the great debate, quote unquote, these issues of theology and philosophy and any of this other, you know, anything else related to the with a library card. Darth is not bringing Darth brings a level of toxicity, you know, a toxic personality to the mix that draws attention because he's a buffoon who thinks he's a god.
I don't think we're saying that his arguments are like bad or anything. It's just that I think, his arguments are good. It's just that there are certain times where he'll. It just seems like he mixes up sometimes other people's issues with him with other people. So.
Yeah. I don't. And again, I don't think if you have a problem with someone on here, I could care less, strictly enough. If you have a problem, if I want to talk to somebody, I get to talk to somebody. So, and if it's my room, it's my room. So whether or not you like it or not, I mean, that's irrelevant to me. As long as they are conducting themselves well, to me at least. For example, I don't mind talking to Bina, even though other people might not, because I've had good conversations with him, and to me, he's honest, at least to me. If you think he's not honest to you, well, don't talk to him. That's your right. Doesn't mean I can't. And if you don't like me for that, well, that's the problem. That's your problem. I don't know you in real life, so it is irrelevant to me.
And what I actually came in to say was that I really agreed with what Nick said. I think that we should have the conversations with the people we want to have the conversations with. And that I think that tribalism is alive and well. I see it in the Christian community and in the atheist community. That's really what I came up to say. But Ding Dong's here now, so we'll see you later, guys. But thanks. Nick, I agree with you.
So is that an example of somebody not trolling by calling somebody a name and running away?
I think it's pretty clear. That's not really trolling, right? Like, I mean, if he doesn't want to talk to the guy, he doesn't have to. Redefine is so precious when it comes to Darth, but everybody else needs to toughen up. It's amazing. I mean, you can't get a lick spittle much more dedicated than. I think Redefine is really kind of angling for JRobin's chair, or maybe it's Ty. But Redefine does some real good ball polishing.
No, he's dodging the question. You asked him a legitimate question, and he doesn't want to answer it. Okay. He spent a great deal of time a number of days ago when he was invited on Praise I Am channel, right? He spent an inordinate amount of time.
Here we go. This is one of the best things. And it's okay to troll trolls. Yeah, it might be. I mean, I think it's hit or miss. Hogtie, I can't believe that this group of Christians, none of whom are in junior high school, are debating whether someone can dictate if a person can allow a friend to talk to someone. Yeah, it's really kind of stunning. And And I really just think that they're making this crap up, right? Like this, obviously this doesn't fly in person, right? Because this would be so socially uncomfortable and so strange to the person to suggest like, hey, you know, I saw you talking to Bob over there. And I don't know if you know this, but I hate Bob's guts. And I'm pretty sure Bob hates mine, right? And every time we have a conversation, it just gets a little awkward and a little weird. If you and I are going to remain friends, I'm going to need you to no longer talk with Bob. Right. If you do that at that point, now you're infinitely worse than whatever Darth said about Bob. Like that's just the creepiest thing that you're going to hear. Right. And these guys are trying to normalize this in a social media way, which, I mean, let's face it, could probably work because social media is kind of screwed up anyway. Right. So it's bound to happen. But at the same time, it's like this is not something that I think even Darth could, well, maybe he does insist on it in real life. And that could explain a lot about who he is. I mean, being an uncompromising douchebag who has to have his feelings and his things taken into consideration first and foremost is kind of a trait of narcissism, right? If he's in fact a narcissist. So yeah. Yeah, good catch. Michael's already laughing because he was featured here for that little bit of a poke. That wasn't trolling. It was what he said. Michael has explained on many occasions that his favorite Star Wars character, or one of his favorite Star Wars characters, is Darth Vader, and he does not like the fact that Darth Dawkins has been co-opting that, right? Because he doesn't want to compare Darth Vader, whom he considers to be a badass, with Darth Dawkins, who he thinks is a chump, right? Fair enough, right? So he just calls him Ding Dong. He's not the first person to do that. Michael got turned onto that nickname from Silver Star, a fellow Christian. It was a fellow Christian who called Darth Dawkins Ding Dong. And guess what Silver Star's big complaint with Darth Dawkins was? Darth Dawkins is an asshole. And Silver Star was pretty free to admit it. So, hello, Ox. How are you doing? Good to have you here tonight. Mark Gamache, thank you for the super chat. I made a brief appearance, then had to drop. I genuinely felt bad for JRobin. Jay has been in atheist rooms in the last day, having civil conversations. Yeah, I kind of wonder about that because it seems like he hit like a fever pitch right around the time he was having those conversations with Roger, and then there've been few and far between since. But maybe he's making. But it seems like he's kind of calmed down a bit. Maybe he's doing a little bit more reading, trying to track this stuff a little bit better. I don't know.
I'm going into a psychoanalysis and diatribe about how much he hates me. And you can go on to Praise AM's channel where he interviews Michael, the Canadian atheist. And when you listen to it, it's disturbing not only because of the slanderous content, but when you set that aside, what's disturbing?
What's slanderous? Like, I don't understand. What is slanderous, right? You deny that you are the person you revealed yourself to be years ago while in like a Google Plus hangout. He mistakenly came into a chat with an account that had his real name on it. And ever since then, people have been able to know that was his name, right? Now, for the most part, nobody. I know in Tom's case, Thomas made a point to not refer to him by his actual name, even though you could hear in previous videos months ago, you could hear a woman in the background when Darth was having conversations calling him by his given first name, right? It's Gary. It's been recorded multiple times. Those videos are there, right? So I'm not trolling him or anything. His first name is Gary, right? Anything else you want to confirm about that, you probably have to get out of him, and he's probably never going to give that up, right? As far as the rest of that goes, right? There's been allegations that he's had a divorce, that he cheated on his wife, that he abused his kids, or it was at least emotionally or verbally abusive to his kids. All these other kinds of things, all these other allegations out there. I have no idea if they're true or not, right? But Darth, as long as he's willing to be like, hey, I'm not that guy. I'm not the Gary blah, blah, blah that you think I am. You have the wrong person. Those are not my life circumstances, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, fine. So what are you left with? You're just left with Darwin's deity or evolution faults or Darth Dawkins or any other avatar that he's using online. And so that's all you've got. So the jury's still out on who he actually is, right? And right up until the point he tells you that you're slandering him. Once you say, like, if you call me by my name and then tell me and then start talking about, like, are any of these accusations true to the person named Gary, ... ellipses, real last name here? Is that actually you? And did any of these things actually happen? Is that why you're worried about slander? Like, Darth can't even keep this straight. Don't raise it to the bar of slander if you don't want people to think that they might be onto you. That makes it seem kind of fucked up, right? That's just a strange way to handle this, right? But he has no problem doing that because that's the best thing for Darth right there, right? Like, I think Darth likes the fact that people really know who he is, and then he can use it against him if they do get tempted and they start throwing that kind of stuff out there. Like, you don't have any proof of that. It's just random. It's just rumors and gossip. Okay, that's what it is. It's rumors and gossip. We have rumors and gossip about you. How does Darth escalate that? Those rumors and gossip they're slander. It's libelous slander. What you're saying and what you're writing about me. All right. Like, maybe don't make it that dramatic. If Darth is trying to cool things down and redirect people away from his actual identity, maybe don't raise it to that level, would be my advice. But he's been doing that aspect for years, right? And now it's gotten to the point where even though he tells people repeatedly, and there's tons of recordings of this, Tom Rabbit's channel, my channel, are littered with the videos of him having conversations, telling people he has no problem if people disagree with him. He's specifically banning people now because they disagree with him. He's doing it in connection with people that he claims are slanderous, stalking trolls, right? But here's the thing. I want you, fellow Christians, to not talk to them. Agree with me or no? I don't agree with that. If I happen to talk to that person, I don't know how that has to do with you and your feud with them. Oh, you disagree with me? We're not going to talk anymore. It kind of sounds like Darth has a problem when people disagree with him. So. JL, good to see you, JL, rolling on the floor laughing. Hearing praise try to explain how a criticism is not a judgment is beyond hilarious. Are you doing double duty? Are you watching me and Tom's video? I do really want to see that, even though I get really exhausted listening to praise. I do want to see, I want to hear what praise has to say about that.
About Michael, the Canadian atheist, is the level of time, the mental energy, and the focus that he puts in, which we could characterize as Darth Dawkins derangement syndrome.
Tangela, you can go right ahead. I would be surprised if you're not. I mean, you're in my live chat. So all I have to do is, I mean, if he happens to check this out, like, what are you doing hanging out here? I mean, I hope you have a good defense. Like, oh, Darth, I was just there to troll. Otherwise, you're going to be next on the chopping block. So, and Darth knows I call him, I insult him. He doesn't care. I mean, he probably prefers being called an asshole as opposed to what Michael did. Michael called him something kind of childish, right, and playful. Oh, ding dong's here. I'm going to get out of here. I don't want to talk to that guy. He's a ding dong. And now Darth is spiraling.
Okay. The amount of time that he went into, he actually held up a copy of the DSM-5, right? And saying that in his line of work, which he wouldn't specify, was in the, his background is social work or mental health. And he was actually trying to say that, I have some type of mental disorder, okay? So it's just bizarre. This Darth Dawkins derangement syndrome is contagious, and it's spread not only among many atheists, it's spread to certain professing Christians as well.
How is it spread to Christians? So it sounds like Darth derangement syndrome is indistinguishable from criticism of Darth Dawkins and his opinions or his. I thought Darth wasn't afraid of people disagreeing with him, right? I wonder if Darth knows the difference between someone being in disagreement and someone being disagreeable, because I don't think he does. And because he can't make the distinction. If someone disagrees with him, they are by definition, in his kind of, twisted logic, they are disagreeable, therefore they are trolls, therefore they are stalkers, therefore they will slander. Therefore, he's justified in canceling them, and he's justified in demanding that any of his friends and ostensible allies also cancel them as well by extension, because these people need to be quarantined and cut off. That sounds right. But maybe, if Darth, if you're listening, maybe don't tell people that you're cool with them disagreeing with you, because you can't tell the difference between someone who disagrees with you and someone who is being disagreeable. So until you are mature enough to make the distinction, it takes some wisdom to do that. Don't throw that out there, because it makes you look like a liar.
Jay, did you get my DM? Jay,
yeah,
there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Do you see what I wrote to you as a problem?
Oh boy. So now we're going to get into the beef of it here. So Michael says, he said I was slandering him because I used my DSM to point out he meets every criteria of NPD. Poor him. Then I pointed out that NPDs are also typically very low in self-esteem. Yeah, it's interesting that how a lot of this stuff is coming up. I think he does here. He might get into this discussion a little bit here, but I know he does in another one. This came up with Praise too. I listened to a little bit of this thing with Praise was talking about how he doesn't think Darth meets the criteria of being a narcissist because Darth let something go, right? Or he forgave him for something. And as far as Praise knows, narcissists never do that. Now, it is true. Grudge holding is a common thing that narcissists do. But here's the issue, and this is what I would, if Praise watches this, then he ought to know this. If Praise and Darth have a disagreement again in the future, whether it's very near or very far, I don't think the time will matter. You can safely bet, that upon their next disagreement, their previous disagreements will all come flooding back. They did with this time. Despite the fact that they were being friendly before, they had disagreements over Smokey Saint. And they kissed and made up, right? And then they had this disagreement, right? That was all supposed to be water under the bridge. Then they had this problem, and Darth is running around talking about what a dirtbag Praise is. And guess what he's reminding everybody of? When Praise was championing Smokey Saint, when he wouldn't side with Darth, and he was back in that gas bag, but instead of Darth. He doesn't really forgive people. He just says he does because it looks good, especially amongst the Christian community. If you're Christian, you're supposed to be forgiving, right? He understands that. It's an expectation. But he doesn't really forgive you, right? If he forgave you and you have a disagreement, he wouldn't need to go back into the catalog of misdeeds and bring them up as if they're all perfectly fresh. All those things are still there, Praise. If you're listening, those are all still there waiting to be dredged right back up again. So that's a pretty good sign of somebody with an NPD. And also this idea that you're not being slandered if somebody is of the opinion that you might suffer from narcissistic personality disorder. If a professional, like an actual psychologist or psychiatrist, tried to diagnose Darth remotely without ever having talked to him in person, that would be unethical. But for a layperson like me to think, hey, you know what? I read the DSM, and based on my layperson's understanding of what these signs and symptoms are, it kind of seems to me like he checks off some boxes. That's not the same as a diagnosis. That's me just sort of connecting the dots. I could be very wrong about that, right? So I think Darth's a narcissist, and I call Darth a narcissist. It's an opinion. And probably not even really qualifies as an educated one, since I'm not a professional in mental health, right? It's just kind of how I'm kind of interpreting how he behaves relative to what this diagnosis is. So Darth, I think, is also blowing this up into something more than he needs to. But
yeah,
what's going on with that particular individual?
Yeah,
because he won't stop the gratuitous attacks.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that they are gratuitous. I think that we can have conversations.
Oh, when they call me a troll?
I've never heard him call you a troll, though.
He didn't just refer to me as a troll in here?
No, not that I heard.
I don't think Michael did. I'm pretty sure Redefined Living referred to Michael as a troll when Michael left. Michael may have called him a troll, but so what? I mean, Darth calls anybody that becomes disagreeable, quote unquote, with him a troll. He calls people trolls all the time. But if he gets called a troll, that person needs to be blacklisted. Like, and people that he's accused of being trolls, he continues to talk to afterward. And he can get good and pissed off and say, I declare this person a troll and they're a slanderous stalker and I hate their guts and I'm never going to talk to him again. And then 3 months later, he gets bored and desperate and he starts talking to that person again. He's done it with me. So, I mean, you have to take this all with a very big chunk of salt.
Well, I got a message from somebody that he was dumping on me here. And the first he shows up the other day, he starts viciously attacking me, calling me a narcissist. You know, when I wasn't even speaking with him. Okay.
Yeah, but I don't think that should be an issue of whether or not I should be able to mod people or let them into rooms or talk to them or anything like that.
Okay, so somebody who is maliciously and gratuitously attacking me.
Since you know he doesn't care what's the problem, I like drama, you don't. I don't know what you mean by that. And I guess this is the thing. I think Darth will talk about caring. I mean, if he is a narcissist, he probably does care anytime anybody talks bad about him, right? But he's developed something of a thick skin about this. But the fact that you're in here saying like, oh, if I go and tell Darth, I mean, I know you're kind of being, you're being cheeky. But even if you were, it's not really much of one, because if Darth wanted to come in here, he could. I haven't banned Darth. And if Darth cared, I would like to think that I know you don't respect any of the content that I'm putting out there. And I think if you had to sum up every video that I've ever done where Darth is in the title, you would just say, well, the synopsis is the too long didn't read is Jefferson Spatchcock thinks Darth Dawkins is an asshole. I think that's too reductive. Not unfair, but too reductive. I'd like to think I make some better points than that about him psychologically, about his theology, about his efforts at understanding philosophy, but whatever. Take it for what it's worth.
That's not an issue with you. You don't care about that.
It is an issue. I don't think that people should be maliciously or gratuitously attacked. No.
Okay. Well, I don't think it's a good idea if there's a professing Christian or apologist who is maliciously and gratuitously and repeatedly attacking a fellow Christian apologist. I don't think it's a good idea to mod them.
Okay, these guys aren't apologists. Like, I don't know what his creds are because he won't share them because he doesn't want to give up personal information, but he won't even share professional information. If he's ordained in any way or something like that, then maybe he's an apologist. But these guys are all enthusiasts. These are dilettantes, right? That's all they are, as far as I know. Until they're willing to nut up and show like that they've actually got creds. Like, did you go to seminary? Do you have a bachelor's or a master's degree in any of this? What do you have to say this? He's just saying, oh, we're apologists, but not in any kind of official sense. They're just apologists in the sense that they engage in apologetics, they read about it, they study about it, and then they try to, and definitely in Darth's case, cherry picks bits and pieces of it, and then memorizes whole chunks of scripts from Greg Bonson to trigger people or tweak people or be obnoxious with people online, right? I'll prove these skeptics wrong with the power of Bonson, right? Cool, right? And now he's trying to turn this into the whole thing. Well, wait, so this is kind of weird to me. So it's not just bad enough that JRobin doesn't see, he doesn't equate people disagreeing or being disagreeable with Darth. It doesn't rise to the same level in JRobin's estimation that it does in Darth's own mind. And so that's strike one. And then strike two, failing that it doesn't meet that, then JRobin's not willing to take the appropriate measures. Now, this makes no sense to me because what Darth is saying here, like Darth keeps shifting back and forth between this. What JRobin needs to do is shut up and listen to Darth when Darth tells JRobin that he needs to stop talking to certain people, never platform them, kick them, mute them, ban them every chance they get because they treated Darth harshly, right? And when JRobin goes to the source of that, okay, I understand what you want. The reasons that you want it, I'm not on board with because I don't see it rising to that level. So I don't know that you're justified. It's one thing for you to say you don't want to talk to that person because you find them disagreeable. Fine, that's your business. You can talk with whomever you please. But it's another thing for Darth to just, throw his weight around and then try to tell everybody that they have to do what he says. And he's justifying that by like, don't you see the level of abuse that's being leveled at me? And that's why you need to take the steps I'm telling you to take. JRobin's going to the source. Well, if JRobin's not losing the plot on this. He's like, no, I don't see how that, right? Like, all he has to do is like, I don't see how this follows, man. I understand you don't like these people. I understand that you find them disagreeable. I don't agree with them either. And what you're going to see going forward is, because JRobin does not see the necessity of taking those steps on behalf of Darth Dawkins, it therefore follows in Darth Dawkins' mind that JRobin completely agrees and signs off on their treatment of him to any degree. So it's this is a great example of watching these two guys talk to each other and watching Darth Dawkins, the former master, right? The master and the apprentice here talking with each other, and Darth is failing at basic critical thinking. JRobin could have gone for a couple of headshots here and just been like, look, here's how it works. I understand you don't want to talk to them. So have the integrity to just say that you're not going to talk to them. But if you're going to come into these rooms and tell people that normally agree with you that they need to quit talking to these people under any circumstances, whether they're having Darth hasn't even really laid out what he means by this, right? Is it as simple as, if you start a room, don't invite these people in, right? I don't know that he's been clear about this. Or is it more general, like, you should not be seen talking to them ever? Well, what if you went into a room and that person happens to show up? You're just guests in a mutual guests in a different room, hosted by someone completely unrelated. What then, right? Has Darth laid out the rules for his cult of personality? This is how you stay in Darth's good graces. It's half a demerit if I see you in the audience of a room and there are three trolls in there. It's a full demerit if there are 6 trolls in there. I mean, like, how detailed does Darth want to get about this, right? So JRobin is already starting to challenge this. Like, I don't understand the justification for asking other people to do this for you. Like, what is this? Now, he's not being that blunt about it. I think he probably should have been. But Darth is already trying to make this about, what if you don't agree with what my solution to my issue, then what you're telling me is that you're okay with all the bad stuff that these people do to me. You're complicit in all of this stuff. Now, who does Darth sound like? Darth kind of sounds like the imagined SJW lefty warrior, communist, feminist, feminazi thing that that he has in his head. The liberal Nazi that cancels people for saying the wrong thing or for platforming the wrong people. He's doing this with his fellow Christians. That's like, I thought as somebody who's politically and socially conservative, that would be like the bane of his political existence, but apparently it's not.
I think we might just have different standards of what gratuitous and malicious attacks are.
Really, you're not aware of his history on Discord of gratuitously and repeatedly coming into rooms out of the blue and just viciously attacking me. You're not aware of that history of his?
I've heard him criticize you. I wouldn't characterize it as an attack, and I don't think that he has come into rooms specifically to attack you.
He hasn't accused me of being a narcissist and having mental problems on Discord.
He probably has, but he's not the only person that's ever done that, right? And it's someone's opinion. So what? Daisy writes, FYI, at 9 minutes, 13 seconds, Darth says, I didn't tell you not to associate with him. Then at 10 minutes, 1 second, he says, I don't think you should be interacting with. Yeah. Right. So he's not clear about what it is he wants to do. Like, if he came out and said, look, here's the thing. I think you guys, like, there's some people out there, if you guys are running your rooms, don't invite these guys up there, like, for your own benefit. But that's not what he's doing. He's making this all about himself, because any pushback he's getting, and he's getting pushback from JRobin, because JRobin is like, okay, JRobin is taking this the way I think anybody normally would take this, just understanding basic English. Darth doesn't want you talking to these people under any circumstances. You should not be interacting with these people because they did these things to me. They have a track record of doing bad things to a fellow Christian. Darth Dawkins, me. Right? And JRobin's like, okay. And why does this rise to being my problem, right? So yeah,
of course he has.
Maybe so.
And he was doing it again the other day, even when I wasn't talking to him. So I'm just informing you now that he is, he plays this, mild mannered person, right? But when he will out of the blue just start attacking me. Okay, so I'm uninformed.
Out of the blue? I don't know that it's out of the blue. Attention, Dee loves atheists. He wants them saved. I don't think that. No, I don't think that's true. Because when asked to take a different tactic, he wouldn't do it. There was a guy years ago, Otangelo, who was a Calvinist, and I know Darth isn't, but this guy tried to talk Darth into a way of kind of looking at the reprobate mind and this kind of thing in a way to kind of understand that, a certain amount of resignation is required, right? If you can't reach them, or if they're just as Darth likes to say, a stiff-necked people, like you just have to sort of like leave that in God's hands, right? And then Darth would get worked up, and this guy would ask him, like, why are you getting so worked up about this? And I would have asked him as a Christian, I would have been like, it sounds to me like when you get that frustrated about somebody not taking your point when you're attempting to share the gospel, and you get pissed at them because they're not taking you seriously, that's not about the gospel. That's about pride. Your pride. You winning. You convincing them. Pride. Darth cannot bypass his own pride. This is not about love. He demonstrates that all the time. If it was about love, he'd be able to give and take more, but he doesn't. And it's definitely not now. It's not even about love of atheists. Now it's about his love of fellow Christians. And he's putting all of these Christians in potentially very bad spots, right? So he, as Darth Dawkins, is telling a bunch of people who are they also believe to some degree that they are apologists, that they're called to evangelize online, right? And Darth is telling them that they can't talk to these people because those people, Darth finds them to be disagreeable. Well, who is Darth to tell these people to do that when those people might be persuaded or inspired by the Holy Spirit to go to those people to preach the message to them? And Darth is specifically saying, nope, don't talk to them. That doesn't sound like love either. That it just sounds like Darth doesn't understand. Darth doesn't trust the Holy Spirit, right? Darth trusts Darth. So it's about love, but it's about Darth's lack of love for himself and his desperate attempt to kind of fill that great big gaping hole with a lot of bullshit, a lot of pride and glory and what he thinks is, a kick-ass overlooked ministry online.
You as to what he's doing. All right. Now,
yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day,
if you think this is acceptable, I think that that's ridiculous. If somebody was maliciously and gratuitously attacking you out of the blue for no reason whatsoever, just pop into the room, right? And they have a history of it. I would take issue with it, right?
Yeah, that's great. I think that the issue here is that
too.
if somebody is maliciously attacking me, for example, and gratuitously attacking me, what I wouldn't do is tell other people not to associate with them. I mean, I would let them know that this is happening, but I'm not going to tell them, you shouldn't interact with them. I'm not going to tell them.
I didn't tell you not to associate with them.
Isn't that what you've been doing?
I'm just being general, just giving generalities. Okay, because there have been other people and things like that. So,
are you referring to what I said about? Are you referring to what I said about those people who openly are slandering and defaming and engaging in stalking of me, and that I'm drawing a line in the sand that my fellow Christian apologists who go out of their way to interact with these stalkers and these public slanderers? Are you referring to that?
This conversation.
So now he's going out of his way to he's already trying to color their intentions. These other Christians who are going out of their way to interact with these trolls and slanderers. Okay, so which one is it? Because I thought we obnoxious, slanderous, troll atheists were stalking all of you guys. I thought we were the ones that were stalking the Christians in their clubhouse rooms and going in there and being obnoxious and not leaving them alone, not giving them a moment's peace. But now it sounds like, according to Darth, there are some Christians, no specific names mentioned, who are going out of their way to interact with the stalking, slanderous, trollish, obnoxious, heathen, pagan scumbags. So now it can be a combination of the two, but it always seemed to me before that if Darth is in one of his little cope rooms and he's talking, and they're all kind of in there coping, and talking about some interaction they had with a particularly quote unquote disagreeable atheist, the issue that usually comes up then is like, well, we couldn't stand this person. They follow us around. This is all they're doing. They track us down just to be disagreeable with us. This is how they do things. But now Darth is adding in this new element. Apparently there are these other people out there that are doing these horrible things. I think I missed a super chat up here somewhere. Yes, I did. That was one from Justin. Maybe it just dropped. There it is. I'm behind on the chat. All right, from Justin. Thank you very much for the super chat. If Dede cared about saving atheists, he'd find a more effective way to do so, and he'd do it in a more scalable way, like doing public events or writing a book and spreading his method if it worked. Yeah. Or maybe just taking it easy, just trying to calm the hell down and maybe enjoy his Christianity a little bit. I don't think it has to be as fraught and as angry as his is, but hey, secular pagan mom, how's it going? Good to see you. All right, let's see here.
Conversation might be better to have in a private room.
Yeah, I agree. But you see, this is where you know who your true friends are. Okay.
By setting up conditions that they can't possibly meet, then making them retroactively inaccessible, and then judging them subsequently. Like, does that sound like a fair way to treat friends? You guys have always been great friends to me. Hey, do you remember that time when I needed you 10 minutes ago to deny a conversation with this person? And now you're saying that you're not going to do that. So why don't I start talking about all the times that you drooling, like the thirsty little whore you are, trying to get into all their conversations so that you could challenge them to arguments? Huh? Why don't I start talking about that? Like, I don't understand why one of these guys doesn't point out, like, wait, I thought these guys were out to get us. If an atheist walked into this particular room and said the only thing that you guys are here for is to follow atheists around and engage in these debates so that you can get your dopamine supply, right? They'd blow it off, right? Darth would turn the tables and say, no. We're here talking about Jesus and the ministry, and your degenerate, satanically influenced heart is coming after us and stalking us and denigrating us. You're the ones that are thirsty. But now it's okay to engage in the kind of rhetoric that this is weird. This is the kind of stuff that he projects onto his atheist villain is now the stuff he's projecting onto Christians. He thinks that the atheists are projecting, are using this. This is their attitude about Christians, that Christians are just stalking them around the internet and engaging with them to just to harass them. And now Darth is here actually kind of conceding that he agrees with that. That is what these guys, some of these Christians are doing that. And they're doing it despite what Darth Dawkins wants. And because and keep in mind, Darth, basically this is the promise. If you do what I say, I won't color it that way. I won't think about it that way. You agree with me and you do what I tell you, then I have your back. And then the way this works is you're being stalked by them. Disagree with me, you're the one thirsting for their conversation. You're the needy little bitch. You're the one that's going to get denigrated. I can direct the stick in any direction I want because I'm Darth Dawkins. Right? This is sick. This is a sickness that this guy's engaging in, right? This is pathological behavior. So, and I don't have to diagnose him, and I don't have to be an expert at it. That is truly despicable behavior. I know what he thinks about atheists, and I know what he generally says about Christians. And now I'm seeing him flip those roles to manipulate people so that he can get them to do what he wants. For fear that if I care about what Darth thinks of me, then I better not do that. And he's making it clear how he's going to think about them. You guys are going out of your way to have these conversations. What's that about? What kind of Christian are you? That's pretty fucked up. You know who engages in that stuff biblically? The devil.
I don't think you should do that, Darth.
Well, I don't.
Yeah, no, I think I don't. I wonder if JRobin is starting to catch on to this, because I mean the vibe is nasty, but I don't know if JRobin is really picking up on the fact that, you know, and who knows, right? Like if you've been able to reflect on these kinds of interpersonal relationships long enough, you can kind of pick up like toxic traits. Some people don't have the benefit of doing that, and so they end up having to deal with this in real time, and they're not entirely like. And I'm not trying to say that I'm some kind of expert or something like that, but you know, the benefit of age, benefit of dealing with, you know, some high maintenance personalities in my own life, I can kind of recognize these little tricks. Some of them when I see them. I'm sure there's things going on here psychologically with Darth I do not get, right? I really do think he needs to be a specimen under glass at an institute somewhere. That's how highly I think of him. Mark, thank you for the super chat. DD didn't want a private room. This was a public lamb sacrifice to show all his monkeys what the rules are. Exactly. Right, yeah. I mean, he could be having this discussion behind closed doors, and has. He's had those discussions with Praise. Praise has admitted to that. So if he wanted to have this discussion and try to suss this out, he could. But he came into this room to chat with a Christian room, and they happened to be talking about this, and he got into this topic, right? Right, and it was a relatively natural feed, right? I mean, it started with, I mean, it starts off with a little bit, I mean, all it took was Michael being like, hey, Ding Dong's here. I don't want to talk to him. I just wanted to say my piece, and I'll leave. Thanks for letting me up. And that was enough to snowball into this stuff. So now we're getting to the point, that the juicy bit where JRobin is going to start, like, kind of, I think he starts pushing back a little bit more here. But thank you again, Mark.
I don't think that you, when you've been informed multiple times, should be interacting with the worst of the worst of the worst, people who engage in repeated stalking, harassing, slander, and defamation. And then you talk to them like they're just an ordinary other person on Clubhouse. I certainly wouldn't give the right hand of fellowship and talk with somebody who was repeatedly stalking, harassing, defaming, and slandering other regular Christian apologists who I consider my friends.
I don't think that that's actually what you're doing when you're talking to the atheist or the non-believer, is providing them with the right hand of fellowship, right? I don't know if that's actually the case. Like, the type of fellowship that you enter into with other Christians is not the type of fellowship that you enter into when you're ministering to the non-believer. I don't know if Darth's unaware of this or not, or if he's just intentionally kind of conflating the two. But this just seems like he's trying to, I mean, this is more of the same thing, right? He's going to lord this over. Like, I don't know about you, but I don't know how I would feel about a Christian who behaved. Like, I think we know exactly how Darth would feel about a Christian that behaved that way. I think if Darth were doing it, he'd be totally fine with it. And he'd have every explanation and every excuse in the book to justify why he did that. It certainly wouldn't be because Darth just wanted to. It certainly wouldn't be because Darth got a kick out of it. And it certainly wouldn't be that Darth wanted to step on somebody, rhetorically speaking. Right? Those are the actual reasons, some of the actual reasons. It would be that person needs to be corrected. That person needs to be educated. That person needs to be stopped. It's always somebody else. Mythic's funny thing is that a couple of weeks ago, JRobin gave up a Clubhouse room to DD only to make a different room 5 minutes later. Yeah. He just said he didn't tell him to not interact. Yeah, I know. He's not being consistent.
That's great. I mean, I don't think he was, again, maliciously slandering you or anything like that.
He has in the past. I informed you that he did. I didn't say that he was maliciously slandering me just today. But he has in the past, repeatedly and chronically, on Discord. And the first time he shows up and he pops into a room, he immediately goes into a slanderous diatribe. Again, and when I say slanderous, I mean that. That's not just, I'm not just being theatrical here.
You're being theatrical. This is why I used the thumbnail that I did of Betty Davis and Joan Crawford, because I think these guys are, all of them, there's actually not enough examples for this particular room. They're all, as far as I can tell, maybe not Nick. I don't know Nick or Scott particularly well. Or, no, that Tim No Regrets guy is kind of a jerk too, but a lot of these guys are just divas. Tangelo says, Jefferson, I have just invited you to join Clubhouse. I'm with Darth over there. Okay. Tangelo, I don't know if you're actually still watching this. I've been on Clubhouse. I cannot join rooms that Darth is in because Darth has me blocked to the maximum extent that Clubhouse allows a person to be blocked. And I wouldn't join you over there anyway because I'm in the middle of doing a live show. But But I mean, if you did send me, I don't see anything. I didn't get any kind of notification or anything. So, but no, thanks. But I don't think Darth's going to be lifting that ban anytime soon. So it doesn't matter that you invite me. It won't work. If you've ever seen me in a room at the same time as Darth, it's because I was there first and then Darth shows up. And in those situations with Clubhouse, if I leave that room, if Darth's still there, I am not allowed back in. And I'm not allowed to watch replays because Clubhouse is trash.
Here, okay? So this is the kind of person that he is. And I want to inform you that that's the kind of person that you had modded, and you might want to reconsider modding him in the future.
The difference or the issue I find here is that if I were to hear a Christian, because I do hear this all the time, I hear Christians having arguments with each other. I hear Christians saying that you shouldn't be doing this, you should not be behaving in this manner. And I'm not talking like, when I say you, I'm not saying like you specifically. I'm just saying like just in general, like the general you. You know, you shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be doing that. And they can be friends with each other, and other people can be friends with both of them, and they're not in the middle of the altercation or the conflict that's between those two people. And I don't think that there's an issue if somebody has an issue with maybe things that you've done in the past, that has anything that I should be getting in between of that, or getting in between that, or that should make a difference as to the friendship of one person and another person. Okay, unless they've committed some sort of crime or some sort of atrocious, that's just overtly atrocious action.
Do you consider
behavior?
Do you consider?
I gotta say, I can't say that I agree with JRobin there because I wasn't really tracking what he said, because I think he was being really inarticulate about this. But I think, to put it simpler, in a simpler term, I think the idea is like, look, Darth, you have conflicts with other people on here, but you asking other people to share in that conflict when no conflict exists between those two people already, if you turn around and make amends with that person, I'm still at odds with the person you told me to go to war with. This is where these guys like sort of lose this bit. Like, this is why critical thinking seems to be so lost on somebody like Darth Dawkins, right? And it always stuns me when somebody like Redefine Living, like at the beginning of this, is like, well, he has so much to the table. No, he doesn't. He actually brings quite a bit to stifle critical thought here, right? If look at the situation with Praise, right? Just recently, right? So Praise gets ticked off. They have a falling out, right? Now, if everyone were to do what Darth says, right? Let's say that they're all on the same page. And in order to stay good and in the club, Darth has now had a falling out with Praise. Now everybody needs to shun Praise. I'm Team Darth, so I can't talk to him. I've been talking to Praise. Let's say I'm somebody that's been is a Christian, and I've been talking to Praise for the last year and a half, and we don't have a problem. And then this falling out happens, and now I get put in a position where where Darth is literally telling people, you need to choose him or me. Right? That person is a manipulator. I don't need to choose between the two of you, because that issue that you're having is between the two of you. I don't want to be involved in it, right? And when you come to me and tell me, well, here's the problem, I don't know why you just can't accept this. What this person's doing to me is borderline criminal. So if you don't agree with me and you don't take my side, it stands to reason that you're a borderline criminal too. That doesn't follow at all. That's a total non sequitur. Darth doesn't accept that kind of illogic, that irrationality on his own behalf. He would never accept culpability if somebody tried to make that connection with him. But here he is childishly asserting that he's just not only can he do that, he's justified in doing it, and everybody else will be better Christians if they go along with this lack of logic. This is, I mean, we're really seeing the old coup in some significant decline here. And I don't mean mentally. I'm not trying to do this ageist thing where I'm thinking like, oh, he's doddering around the living room or anything. This is some kind of like mental or emotional decline. There's some shit going on here on top of the usual stuff. This dude's always had baggage. He's always been problematic, interpersonally, psychologically, emotionally, whatever. He's got lots and lots of bad wiring and lots of damage, and a lot of foundational work probably need to be done to start getting this guy kind of leveled back out again. But something's made him worse, because this is, I mean, the last couple videos that I've done on him have been like this too, where he's just lost track of critical thinking, basic critical thinking. It does not follow that you need to turn any of your allies against a former ally or against all of your enemies simultaneously. And if they don't do that, they are as culpable as your enemies. That is just strange thinking. Like that's the kind of thinking that starts getting people. And if you are going to go into like an old age thing, it starts making people wonder, maybe the crankiness is a sign of something a little bit more severe.
Yearly stalking and harassing and outright slander and defamation. Atrocious.
Outright slander, defamation, and stalking. Yeah, I do.
Okay. Well, there are several individuals.
See what he did? Don't you find this behavior bad? And JRobin says, yes. Okay, so now what?
That are regulars on Clubhouse and Discord. Okay. Now, if they are openly slandering, defaming, stalking, and harassing, do you think that because of this persistent and unrepentant type of behavior that is still ongoing, that they're still worthy of being interacted with?
Yeah, I mean, there are people who I don't talk to on Clubhouse, and there are people who I do talk to, and then there's an overlap.
I said, are they worthy of being conversed with when they do that to a fellow Christian?
No, I don't talk to those kind of people. No.
Okay.
No, the thing is that I don't consider.
So you don't interact with
these
Jack
people,
Great Godless Girl or.
So now, notice the way this has been set up. Don't you find this kind of behavior bad? JRobin has agreed. Yep, those things are bad. Okay, so when someone does that, should you talk to people who actively engage in that, who are known for doing that kind of thing? JRobin's answer is he doesn't talk to people that he thinks do those things. And now he's like, oh, but didn't you talk to these 3 people? So what if he did? This is a long way around the block to get to. You're talking to people that I disagree with, therefore I should disagree with you. This is the thinking of an idiot, right? Let's say that JRobin is Darth Dawkins' enemy. Let's just entertain Darth Dawkins' paranoia. Why should Darth Dawkins tell him anything like this? They just know each other online, right? If Darth really wanted to engage in this and Darth were clever, Darth would not tell him anything like this. He would just wait and watch. Because you keep your friends close, you keep your friends close, and you keep your enemies closer. So why would you do this kind of thing where you're going, no, I'm drawing a line in the sand and all of you guys can fuck off and I don't want anything to do with you. You guys all stand over there. That's not how you handle this. If you really think that you've got enemies and if you really think, but again, this isn't strategic thinking. This is emotional lashing out. He's looking for attention. Like I said, there's something really fucked up going on here. This guy's not, he's never been right, but this is bad. Peter Guns writes, remember when Darth did this Otangelo when he did want him talking to J.L. Warren? Yeah, he did that to Otangelo. Because Otangelo, I think, was supposed to have a debate with J.L. Warren, and then J.L. Warren did a video about Darth Dawkins and got into some things he'd known about him personally, and then Darth, and it was just stuff that was known through, for his years of being online. J.L. Warren doesn't know him personally. He just, was able to get that information and confirm some of it. When he got into a little bit of that, Darth just lost it and then demanded that Otangelo not engage, that he break his commitment to having a hosted debate between him and J.L. Warren. I think it was a hosted debate, right? So he would have to, and even Tone disagreed with that. Like, you're asking Otangelo to break his word because you don't like the person that he's talking to. And Darth refused to admit that that's what was going on. Darth wanted everybody to understand, no, you don't understand the connection here. I have declared this person to be bad. And if you talk to them, you will also be considered bad. I don't understand why you don't follow this. People can, maybe they don't see that it's that childish. Darth really is being that simplistic with it, right? But Darth the fact that Darth needs that is disturbing and, distressing, mostly for Darth. The fact that these guys are now these guys are just getting tired of him. That's what I pick up in JRobin's voice in this, right? He just seems kind of exhausted with this stuff. But Angela, I don't know if you're just like trying to tweak with me, but my phone's right here. I'm not getting any invitations to join any chat, and I can't join a chat now. I'm doing a live thing, but I'm not seeing anything. I don't know if you're trying to, if you're sending something on Discord or on Twitter or on YouTube or on Clubhouse. I thought it was Clubhouse. I'm not getting the notifications. So, or are you still blocking me? Because I think you'd had me blocked at one point in the past, but JL writes, he's a nutbag. And just because the freak's got himself a library card doesn't make him Yoda. Detective Mills and 7. Yeah. Yep.
Tom Rabbit.
I don't make a habit of it. I've talked to them in the past. Like, I don't think that automatically means I can never.
Have you talked with them recently?
Not in the past few months. Not to my memory.
You haven't talked with Tom Rabbit recently?
No.
I don't think that he has. I've seen quite a few of these ones. Like, I don't know how often Darth's on here, but this is fucking creepy. Oh, you haven't talked with them? You haven't talked with Tom Rabbit? And weren't you just in Godless Girl? Like, are you JRobin's dad, Darth? I mean, he's talking to JRobin like he's like, I know you smoke pot. That wasn't pot you were smoking behind the garage just a couple nights ago?
No. Like months ago I did. But even if I talk to him once every few months, I don't think there's an issue with me having, even if that's what he's done, just for the conversation. I don't think that completely disqualifies me from ever having a conversation ever again in the future.
Now, okay, you just explained to me, what your standards are. Okay, welcome to my block list.
What? Why?
See you later.
That was fine.
It doesn't follow that he should do that. Like that right there, that is proof positive that Darth is not a rational person, right? Because even JRobin was like, no, I haven't talked to them. And then he kind of caught himself like, wait a minute, hang on. What difference does it make? Even if I talked to them just 10 hours ago, that doesn't make a difference. Just because I had engaged in a conversation with them does not mean that I agree with anything that they say, let alone everything that they say. And it doesn't make me culpable for any of their attempts to supposedly slander you, whether I think or you think it rises to the level of slander. Right? That was JRobin's point, and I hate to fucking agree with him. I don't think he was making the point all that well, but there it was. So, yeah. So no, I'm not. Now I know what your standards are. JRobin's standards is that he's not willing to surrender enough rationality to simply blindly follow Darth Dawkins when Darth Dawkins needs him to be irrationally prejudiced against people, right? And that's what he's essentially asking him to do. Like, I don't know specifically what these people have done to you, right? I know what you've told me you think they've done. I don't know what rises to that level, and I don't know why I need to be blocking them or banning them or canceling them along with you. I don't see why that's a necessary thing.
See you later, alligator.
See you later, alligator? That's kind of weird.
Jay, you've been nothing.
All right, we have Mark,
Jay,
we have Scott, we have Albedo. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with you almost nothing, Jay. But man, you've been nothing but nice to Darth, and that's just crazy. I can't say anything other than that. It's just crazy and deranged. Maybe that's psychoanalyzing, but man.
I didn't like. I told him. He said like it tells you who your real friends are. I was like, no, you shouldn't be saying that kind of thing, right?
Well,
really?
Think about what he's doing there.
Really?
He's trying to control who you talk to based on his
exactly
stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. And I told him, you don't say that. Do not don't do it. Don't do that kind of thing, because then that doesn't make you look good. That's not a good look at all. Sworn.
It's right after the block. You mean, JL, do you mean when he said see you later, alligator? Is that the part you're talking about? I didn't catch it. I'll wind it back a little bit.
He said like it tells you who your real friends are. I was like,
okay, but man, you've been nothing but nice to Darth, and
that's fine.
Explain to me, what your standards are. Okay, welcome to my block list. See you later.
That was fine.
If you mean the it's fine thing, the passive aggressive bullshit, that's fine.
See you later, alligator.
See you later, alligator. But I don't know. I don't get why he says that. I love that JRobin said, "See you later, alligator." It shows exactly how seriously someone should take DD's tantrum. Perfect. Yeah, but it's like this exhausted kid on a playground, like, you know, wild crocodile. You know, now it'd been funny if Darth came back that quickly. Like, but the weird thing about this too is that this looks like a rage quit, right? This is JRobin and Redefine's room. So he's like, okay, you're going on my block list, and then bails. Like, okay, so he just had to rage quit because he couldn't get JRobin to just automatically, you know, lick spittle up and be like, yes, Darth, yep. And all these people, they all deserve to go. I mean, in a just and fair world, no social media would allow them on. I mean, there should be people should have to have a license to get on social media and use the internet. And if they do, we need to make sure that Godless Girl and Jack Angstrike and Tom Rabbit and Jefferson Spatchcock and J.L. Warren and Michael, the Canadian atheist, don't get it. Well, maybe not Michael. Michael, the Canadian atheist, gets a provisional one until I'm done screaming at him. And then his internet privileges shall be revoked. It's pathetic. Right, let's pull this forward.
It's not a good look at all. Warned him. Don't not do that.
Not a good look. Well, I think this is kind of weird too, because JRobin's taking this like, don't tell other Christians what to do, right? Which is interesting, because there's actually a video just a few months ago, where another Christian's like, look, don't do that, Darth. You have the high ground. The person's already left. You know, just, you know, kind of take the W, right? Darth's immediate response: don't tell me what to do. And here he is telling other Christians what to do.
I think the problem that kind of arises from those types of scenarios is that, you know, let's say that, you know, one person has a problem with another person.
Redefine puts it together. The whole enemy of my enemy is my friend thing isn't always a good thing. He puts this together in a very slow way. So I'm sped this up to 1.25.
And I come and I burn a bridge with that person A is my friend, person B is my friend, and person A has a problem with person B, and person A tells me to throw person B under the bus or, you know, disassociate with them or whatever. And I do that. But then person A and person B reconcile.
Right.
And now person B is looking at me like I'm the bad guy for throwing them under the bus for person A. You see,
well, hopefully if they understand this, right, that's the thing that somebody like Darth Dawkins is expecting everybody to do. Everybody feels the same rage that Darth feels it when he feels it, and everybody gets to the same point of forgiveness when Darth dictates it, right? And Darth won't care if they don't feel it. Like, they're like, well, I'm not there yet emotionally. Darth doesn't give a fuck. Darth just wants you to do it, right? So, like, whatever Redefine's got to the point where he's giving the same analysis I did just a few minutes ago. And that is a problem, right? Like, okay, he and I are at odds now. No one can talk to anybody that wants to be team me, needs to avoid talking to that person. I don't care if you've been able to get along with them for years. Anybody with any real integrity and a decent level of intelligence, just some maturity, is going to tell anybody making those kinds of childish demands to get fucked, right? They're just going to be like, you know, go pound sand, right? That's not how anything works. If you've got a problem with this person, you can't work it out, fine, avoid them, right? Suck it up and move on, right? Man up and deal with it, right? But it's your deal. Deal with your shit, right? It doesn't need to get, you know, you don't need to bleed out all over everybody else. And Darth's literally like, you know, twirling around, spraying everyone with it. And then demanding, like, now that you all know the amount of damage that I felt, you know, Darth is the kind of person that if somebody slapped him across the face, he'd cut an arm open with, I probably shouldn't say this, he'd give himself a cut to bleed enough and then blame the person for that wound and then go around and like, oh, and start screaming and hollering, look what he did to me. How could you deny how bad this person was? And then they all have to get on your side. And any person that didn't, all those people are guilty of cutting you directly. You might as well have pulled the knife on me yourself. Like, no one cut you. You cut yourself. Like, that person slapped you in the face because you called him a troll. You called him a slanderer. I think it's interesting too that, like, calling somebody a slanderer isn't in and of itself slander in Darth's eyes. Like, he just accuses people of committing crimes all the time.
I agree that it's not the best way. It's not the best way to do this. Now, that doesn't mean that
definitely not the best way.
has a history of, speaking behind someone's back and doing things like that, because those things are not okay. But, that's why these should be more private conversations. If they are internal, then they should be.
Yeah, I agree.
Meanwhile, at the Legion of Doom.
Yes.
Yeah. Getting back to GI.
Yes, we got the classic Legion of Doom cut. Okay, so now he's gone into another room, the room where pro-abortion, pro-choice arguments die. So clearly this is a Tone Loc room. Tone is looking to engage desperately in conversations with the, as he calls them, the pro-aborts. So Darth has crawled back to Tone Loc's channel, or into it. I don't know if it's already on. And Darth just followed GI into this room and kicked him. Oh. That's pretty fucked up. So that GI guy was in here. I think the full name is GI Jew. I think he's gotten into trouble for that, but GI moved, and GI is the one that he's been having issues with the most lately, I think.
GI Joe, that piece of garbage. This charge, because I quote unquote interrupt people or don't let them finish, or I interrupt a conversation, it doesn't follow from that I have mental problems, that I'm a narcissist. Okay, right? He is trying to.
No, it doesn't follow that because you have mental problems that you would be diagnosed as a narcissist. Correct, Darth. That's absolutely correct. Just because I'm insane doesn't mean I have NPD. Looks sideways a couple times. You're right. It doesn't mean you have NPD. Back away quickly.
To grasp at anything as an excuse for his disgusting, slanderous, and defamatory charge of narcissism. Okay.
Yeah, if he doesn't like you, fine, but that doesn't mean he has to constantly belabor the issue and attack you in other rooms.
Yeah.
Belabor the issue. What if he was just answering a question? Like, this is another one of those things where Tone and Darth are perfect for each other because they're not particularly rational, and they'll talk about stuff and just inflate the terms or inflate the circumstances to match whatever they're feeling, and then pretend that, and then just act as if that's how it happened, right? So if GI was in another room and somebody happened to be talking about Darth, and like, hey, GI, weren't you in some room? And then Darth kicked you. You're like, yeah, he did that. And like, well, what do you think about that kind of behavior? Well, I like some of Darth's arguments, but Darth will get up in his feelings at some point, and then he acts kind of weird, and then he demands loyalty, and right, okay, so he gives his opinion, right? For Tone and Darth, that's GI is actively looking for atheist audiences to go and interact with so that he can spread damaging gossip, slanderous, libelous crap about Darth. Right? That's how it has to be because GI is Darth's enemy. Right? Now, if GI doesn't say those things and somebody's asking him those questions, right? If GI clams up, stays stum, right? Then how does it get characterized? When GI took one for the team and GI is being stalked by those atheists. Hogtie, he kicked GI. I didn't know that, but I'm not surprised. Tone Deaf has no spine. He does not. He does not. The alienating followers from non-followers equals cult behavior. Yeah. But again, I don't think, and by the way, welcome, Jack. Nice to have you here. I don't think Darth has the critical thinking skills to and the ability to reflect on his own words and his own deeds to kind of piece all that together and kind of, hey, maybe I need to dial it down.
Let's say we conceive in our mind somebody who might be a quintessential narcissist. Okay.
This is a thought experiment. Oh God, here we go.
It doesn't follow from that.
What's a quintessential narcissist? I bet you anything what he's going to talk about is somebody who's like super proud of himself and always confident and always, oh, I'm the best, I'm this, I'm that. That can be part of narcissism, but that's not quintessentially, I don't know what that means, narcissism. It sounds like what Darth is saying is like, hey, none of you should be irresponsibly running around and trying to diagnose me with any of that stuff. That's irresponsible. Now hold my beer while I irresponsibly conflate a stereotype with a diagnosis. And this is why I don't match that.
That they're interruptive, okay? Or that they might be, let's say, abusive, right?
Sure.
What is essentially characteristic to narcissism, as we all know, is this chronic self-love. Okay.
No, actually, narcissistic personality disorder is not. I think that Darth's understanding of the narcissistic personality disorder is the myth of narcissist who falls in love with his own reflection, right? That can be an aspect of narcissism, right? But narcissists tend to be, it's more about a self-involvement, and it can involve an enormous amount of insecurity and a great deal of self-loathing. It's one of the reasons why one of the traits is that they don't give up. They will not forgive, right? Because they have been wronged and they can't reconcile that, right? It's part of that insecurity, part of that self-hatred. So it's not just about, oh, they just love themselves. So like it's not accurate. So,
and that they're trying to receive, adulation and people to, worship them or whatever. All I can say to you is I think that it's slanderous, it's defamatory, it's beyond super sleazy when the atheist.
It is simply an opinion. That's all it is. It's an opinion from another person on the internet. They think that you're a narcissist. Grow up. I mean, you're telling every atheist that you disagree with that they are a slanderous stalker troll, right? So think about that. Every atheist that you've put on that list, including me, I'm actively going into rooms and saying things, just saying intentionally offensive things, even things I disagree with, just to get a negative reaction out of people, that I am spreading slander about Darth as often as I can, even though any of the stuff that's already been out there, I really haven't really contributed much to that in terms of like even committing to whether it's truthful or not, right? Even though I do know his first name's Gary. He had a relative call him that on a stream multiple times. But I don't care. So I'm not spreading around. I'm not actively seeking to dox him. I don't want to know where he lives. I don't need to know about his past, right? I happen to know things about his past, allegedly, that people have dug up because he's engendered so much ill will that people went gunning for him, right? And I'm not trying to blame the victim there. They should not have done that, right? But like, I mean, there is a little bit to be said about like how careful you're being. Like you're engaging in these kinds of conversations on the internet, and Darth runs hard, and he used to run a lot harder years ago, and he pissed off a lot more people than right now. He just irritates people, I think, for the most part. It's sort of a chronic level of irritation. But he went after some personalities that he probably should have been careful around, right? Just because it's the internet. Right? You could be outspoken, great, but there are certain people you do have to be careful around, and he wasn't. Right? I don't agree with the fact that they, some of them are out there, I think, spreading this information and trying to dig up even more. I don't think that that's cool. Right? But some of this information came out, it became popular enough as gossip or all that kind of thing. It's just stuck to him, right? And unfortunately, that's kind of the nature of the way this stuff works. It has not really detracted. He has not been deterred from the internet, though. But he keeps running around telling everybody, this is what all of them do. All of them slander me. All of them want to dox me. All of them are trolling me, and they're stalking me. They're trying to find out where I live and what my real name is and my relatives and dig up dirt on me. I'm not trying to do that. I don't need to do that. Right? So I have to deal with the fact that I'm being accused of a bunch of things that are not accurate by Darth. Right? Darth is stunned that he has to live an online life where people will do this to him. And he just doesn't understand why he can't get people to shut these other people down with him and for him. Like, what difference would it make if they did? It wouldn't make a difference, and it's not even something that he can maintain. It's just this whole thing from Darth is sad.
Do it. But when we have professing believers like G.I. Joe who do it, it's unconscionable. And as far as I'm concerned, it is not something I'm going to tolerate. And if they did it,
this is just GI is just the latest Christian or the latest believer. I don't know if he's a Christian or not. He's the latest believer to have done this. There's been other Christians and Jews, other theists that have run afoul of Darth that have had this happen before. This has happened a lot in the last decade that he's been online, right? And he again lacks the critical thinking, lacks the reflection, lacks the maturity to process the fact that he keeps circling back to this again and again and again, and the common denominator in most of these interactions failing and blowing up and resulting in the kind of diva level drama that he wants them to be. The common denominator is him.
If they did it to you or some of the other well-known Christian apologists on there, I wouldn't put up with it either. Okay, they're not going to go and make sleazy accusations.
They have done that. People have done that. People have made sleazy, quote unquote, sleazy accusations against Tone. And Darth has had conversations with them again. I'd almost guarantee it. There's simply no way in the past 6 to 10 years. I don't know how long Darth and Tone have known each other, but there's simply no way. There are people that have been incredibly harsh to Tone that I think Darth will continue to speak with. Now, in Tone's case, it might be a little bit different because Tone, I think people do sometimes take it a little easy on Tone because he's not bright, but he's belligerent and mouthy, and yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I don't believe that at all. Like, oh, I wouldn't stand for that if they were doing it to one of my brothers in Christ. Darth just got done doing that. He just got done painting with a broad brush any Christians that these so-called Christians who are actively seeking out in a thirsty bitch kind of way, looking for those rooms where they can engage with these atheists. You long for it. You just can't wait until you get into one of their rooms, can you? He was just doing this, just insinuating that there are Christians out there, and not coincidentally, they're the same Christians that won't go to bat for Darth, are engaging in this nasty behavior and are so-called Christians, right? Okay. Aren't you slandering somebody? And doesn't that call into account something possibly that he'd have to be kind of accountable for? Like the fact that he's sort of denying the work of the Holy Spirit. If you're sitting there denying the legitimacy of somebody's salvation, right? Especially if you're trying to be like a fruit picker, right? What Christians call a fruit picker. Well, I can tell that they're not a real Christian based on what they do. Well, as far as we can tell, like when they were on your good side, these people were being stalked by atheists. Now that they might be on your bad side, you are willing to start changing your narrative and describing them as actively seeking out the company of non-believers in a potentially bad way, right? Now it's suspect. I mean, it's subtle, but it's all there.
I mean, and if someone just sit there when, like, for example, you have on a number of occasions, and I've been present, where somebody's, going on, yada, 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 and you go, stop, okay?
Yeah.
And if somebody came along and accused you of being a narcissist because you're exercising moderation, or you're trying to point out that they're rabbit trailing, they're prevaricating, they're obfuscating, and somebody was gratuitously, saying you are a narcissist, you have mental and emotional problems, I would kick their sorry little rear end so fast as I did that to you or some other fellow Christian. I think people taking unfounded, false, sleazy attacks, and especially attacks of mental illness charges, as disgusting, unless there's actually a legitimate basis for it.
Well, there is, right? See, this is something that comes up. So, like, somebody like me starts talking about fruits of the Holy Spirit, right? These guys can just basically say, hey, you're an atheist. You don't get what you're talking about. Fruits of the Holy Spirit, that's our camp. Stay out. All right. So let's say as an atheist, I can't really identify those fruits of the Spirit. So I can't really identify a Christian who's failing to live up to the code, right? They're not meeting the mustard, right? Well, here's the problem for this stuff when it comes to like a mental illness, right? I'm fairly certain, based on the way Darth has talked about psychology, psychiatry, mental health issues, the mental health state of mental health care in this country, that Darth would be suspicious of any diagnosis he got from a very educated, very esteemed, highly accredited professional. If the diagnosis reflected poorly on him, he would doubt it. He would call it. It would be easier for Darth to wrap his mind around the fact that all of mental health care is a conspiracy designed to trap him in a world of servitude than to even entertain the notion that one or more highly educated professionals might be able to help him. They might see certain things about his personality, about his emotional states, about his thinking patterns that are pathological, and might be able to provide him with ways to get out of those, to think clearer, to behave better, to reflect better, to whatever. I mean, therapy can be hard to find, and it can be tough to find good therapists, but it can be done, but you have to want to engage with that. And you'd have to be of a mindset to think that there's something that another person can help you get through. I don't think Darth thinks that. I think Darth has he's in a unique situation where there's enough fundamentalist Christianity in this country and in the popular culture that allows somebody like Darth to absorb that rhetoric enough to galvanize himself against the need for mental health care, right? And then to use that to also weaponize his narcissism, or whatever it is, those narcissistic traits, because he may not be NPD, but he definitely has the traits of a narcissist, several of them. And then he can kind of use those in furtherance of trying to, what he thinks he's doing is supposedly evangelizing and educating people, right? But he's not. So I think this performance here is interesting. Like, if these people were saying this about you, I wouldn't do that. Darth has gotten into, well, you don't even have to wind it back a couple of weeks, I don't think, to listen to him talk about Praise I Am's state of psychological health. Just go listen to when he was in disagreement with him just recently, go and listen to what he thinks about Praise, right? Praise was engaging in malicious attacks, right? Darth has no problem accusing people of being insane, of being deranged, of being stupid, of being under the influence of drugs, or being delinquent, or being deficient. He does it all the time. Almost every time there's a recorded interaction that rises to some kind of drama. And yet here he is trying to say, well, if someone did that to you, someone did that to one of my brothers or sisters in Christ, like, Darth, you've done that to your own brothers and sisters in Christ. How many female Christians has Darth called hysterical? He's not qualified to do that. So if he's diagnosing them with some kind of mental disorder, is he not slandering them? This is the extent right here. I mean, these are just a few examples of why this guy's critical thinking has just waved him goodbye.
Yeah, honestly, he's got to stop doing this. Look,
GI does? Okay, maybe. Narcissists are usually not receptive to therapy because they don't think they have a problem. Yeah, exactly. It's hard to get them in. And I think, if I remember correctly, thank you very much for that super chat, by the way, Tanner. I very much appreciate that. Darth has talked about psychology and talked about like the limits of psychology and the problems of psychological practice and things like that. There's an old video where Tom Rabbit caught him in an exchange with a guy who was a psychologist or a psychiatrist, and he just ripped this guy up one side down the other, and he clearly is channeling some rage, and he sounds like the kind of guy that had to do some counseling, maybe mandatory, and resented the shit out of it. And he's still, I mean, I think it's still probably fresh.
if he doesn't like you, fine. But the idea that he reduces you down to a narcissist and he attacks you in another room.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, it is.
It's
absolutely
it's super
it is.
sleazy. It's
okay.
A lie. This is what look the eighth.
So it's super sleazy and it's disgusting to attempt to diagnose people with psychological illnesses like hysteria, Darth? Like megalomania, Darth? Is it disgusting? Or do you
have been doing this for years, and he's just simply borrowing upon their meme. Okay.
He's doing what you do. He learned it by watching you, Daddy Darth.
No, if they want to say that I'm not patient, or let's say that uninterruptive, if they to speak in concrete terms about how they don't like my conduct, okay, it's fine. I might agree with some of it. I might not agree with it. But when they cross that line into making these mental illness accusations, when it's really not substantive.
Right, when you're just casually throwing out that somebody must be a megalomaniac or somebody must be hysterical. Right, it must be that. I mean, the lack of self-awareness here is that, I mean, I think I've really kind of come full circle. Like at this point, just analyzing, like there's no argument here to analyze, right? I mean, the arguments have been transparently bad. It's just been constant projection and lots of misplaced rage and a lot of like blaming everything and anything out there that's out to get Darth, right? To the point where he doesn't even understand, like he can't even reflect on his own actions in the past. How dare you call me a narcissist? How many people have you accused of being a megalomaniac, a psychopath, a sociopath, a stalker? right? A stalker is somebody usually who's obsessed with somebody psychologically. He accuses people, those people, of being obsessed with him. He psychoanalyzes people all the time. And yet it's sleazy and disgusting. Yes, Darth, maybe it is a little sleazy and disgusting. And you're up to your eyelashes in it. Hogtie's right. Darth talks about psychology exactly like anyone who had either court-ordered or wife-ordered therapy. Yep.
Okay, they're vile, and he's joined the ranks of the vile attacks of the atheists. And I'm gonna take a stand on this issue, whether it's directed at me or any other Christian, like yourself or Matt Yester or other Christians we know. Okay.
Notice he didn't say JRobin.
Did you get that, Tom Rabbit? If you need to change your batteries in your Panasonic tape recorder with the C batteries, just get those new batteries in now so you can keep on recording and upload to your YouTube channel.
Does Darth know that you don't have to record video that way? I'm really worried about him now.
JRobin actually told me in another room that he doesn't have a problem with talking with people who engage in chronic stalking, harassing, and engaging in slander and defamation against a fellow Christian, that he's not going to stop interacting with them. I mean,
was that how he put it, Darth? Is that really being charitable? He said he didn't talk to those people. That's specifically what he said he didn't do. What he had an issue with was not talking to the people you claimed did that, but he didn't know if they did or didn't.
Yeah. So you know what? It shows me you have no standards when you do.
Well, if the standard isn't standard, then yeah. I mean, what standard could he possibly have had? Thank you, TJG, for the super chat. Cult leader doing cult leader stuff. Yeah, he's really. I mean, I really think he's embracing it at this point because it's not, the verbal stuff's making less and less sense. The Panasonic tape player. Yeah, I mean, this is just weird. Like, you do know that you can save these. Maybe he doesn't. I mean, he's a Mac guy like me. We don't know how to use tech. That's why we use Macs. In fact, that's what I do with my Mac. In fact, I'm coming to this. This was pre-recorded. I'm just playing back what was on my Panasonic player into my Apple machine. Yeah, I said weirdo. C batteries? Yeah, exactly. Like, how many people have a tape deck that takes batteries that big? Like, I'm just wondering, like, C batteries? Slanderers.
Welcome to the room, Irfan. What would you like to say?
All right, who's next?
You missed the drama here.
I have some drama of my own.
Gotta watch the replays.
Oh, was it about me?
Kind of.
Well, you got brought up.
You gotta watch it to see it. You gotta believe it to see it. Okay.
GI did get brought up, but Michael was the one that kind of started that flame, and then GI was the one that, kept it up.
All right, I'll watch it. What was it regarding before I watch it?
Well, I can't ruin the surprise. Come on. Where's the fun in that?
I don't know. Yeah, I had a little talking to by Daddy. Yeah, in the other room, I had a brief little talking to by Daddy, but he set me straight.
All right.
Yeah, I was in a room with Ponlock, and halfway through a sentence, a certain individual appeared, and he had to address.
I don't know why they talk like
address something right
Darth
there and right then, and
shall not be named, Joe.
Yeah, Daddy came and
Don't say that. That's crazy.
He said all things. He made everything better.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those things where people get too invested in online life, more invested than they should.
I agree. Yeah, but I mean, if I can make one point about that, I agree with Nick that he's saying it's who cares. But one point I would say is some people will only interact with Christianity or with apologetics through this service, through this channel, and it's baffling to me that not every Christian is united in never letting Darth speak, never letting Darth represent Christianity. He's gonna confuse people. He's gonna think Christians are supposed to be like this.
Did you get that, Tom Rabbit? If you need to change your batteries in your Panasonic tape recorder with, the the C batteries. Just get those new batteries in there so you can keep on recording and upload to your YouTube channel.
Hey, Tom.
Jesus Christ. So yeah, he's lost more of his mind. The holes in his brain are getting bigger, or the worms are less friendly, or less supportive, or less nourished. I don't know what's going on. But yeah. So that's it for that. I think that doesn't cap the drama yet, because there's going to be the one that was done today. So apparently, and I mentioned this at the beginning, Tom had a discussion with Praise. That one premiered at the same time I was doing this. Thanks to anybody who jumped over here after that was done, because I'm sure Tom's videos are never nearly as long as mine are. But yeah, I will be watching that one probably. I'll probably listen to that one at work tomorrow, and while I'm working, just to see what's going on there. But yeah, so that's it for Darth. I think we're caught up on most everything. I didn't cover the other one, some of the other stuff, some of the other praise back and forth with Darth, because I didn't think it was actually worth getting into the minutia of that, because that stuff can change so rapidly. I remember there was a period in time when it was going back and forth between Praise and Smokey, and I think Praise's stance on Smokey changed 5 times. It was an incredible amount of flip flop. It was just boom, 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 just back and back. Like if you were to try to follow along with it, it would have made you seasick. And with this one, I kind of had a feeling that this would be kind of the same thing too. So yeah. It wasn't worth it. Stream it live now, Jeff. I got other stuff to do, and eventually I do have to sleep. I got to go to bed. So, I mean, not this early, but what I normally do after one of these streams is open up the windows, take a deep breath of fresh air, and then slap myself across the face really hard and punish myself for doing these. Yeah, and my message to Tangelo, I never got your invite. I don't know what you're doing, but it did not happen. So if you were just trying to lead me on, props, like it worked. Because I mean, you reach all the way over to my armrest and pick up my phone and check to see if a notification came in, and it didn't. So I don't know what you're doing. And if you were sending an invite to a Jefferson Spatchcock, let me know who that Jefferson Spatchcock was, because I think I might have an imitator out there, because I wasn't getting the notifications. Somebody's posing as me. Could be Darth. Darth could have a sock account, like Jefferson Spatchrock or something. I don't know. Anyway, thank you, everybody, for the super chats. Thanks for the always entertaining live chat. It's always fun. Appreciate the support and the input always. If you got any comments, questions, considerations, suggestions, just email me at jeffersonspatchcock@gmail.com. Other than that, I will probably be back. I don't know. It always gets crowded on Thursday and Friday night, so I might do one of these tomorrow night. But I will definitely be doing one on Thursday, since we're coming up on a Labor Day weekend. It's going to be an extended weekend for me, so I'm going to have some free time on my hands, provided I don't get sick. I should mention that. If I get sick, I might be out of commission. Then again, I might not. I was exposed earlier in the week to someone with COVID, and I think I might be in the clear, knock on wood, but I might not. I might, I don't know how long this particular strain takes to kick in. So yeah, if you don't hear from me for a while, it might be because I'm, just lying in bed, watching TV, getting over COVID. Given the way the strain kind of works, though, even if I do get COVID, I'll probably be back because I don't get bored. So anyway, nothing to worry about too much. I'm vaxxed and boosted. I got all the shots, even some I wasn't supposed to get. Wink, just kidding. Yeah, here's looking forward to that new booster. I'm going to get it, and then I'm going to write to John Maddox and tell him, how it felt, and tell him about the 5G it's given me and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, with that, thank you, everybody. Good night, and take care of yourselves. I will catch you all next time.